Why is nobody talking about the Detarame Pass? It's a Toge that everybody seems to have forgotten about, and for the life of me, I can't figure out why. It features almost hellishly bad roads, which is of course a good thing. It takes you through some lovely scenery and multiple villages. It has a vibrant mix of very technical slow areas and fast scary ones too. And the best part? It even has uphill and downhill in a single run. From the very offset, you're thrown right into the mixer. You have to thread the needle through this extremely uneven road and propel yourself into a narrow corridor between buildings that tower over you. You then need to maintain maximum braking over the bumps and took a left, narrowly passing the people of Detarame's properties. And if you collide with them, which is an extremely likely possibility, the run will almost certainly be over in its infancy. The road only gets worse from here as you proceed onto the uphill slope, and I must stress, that is absolutely not a bad thing. If you don't counter steer enough, or don't use almost perfect throttle control, you're going to lose the back end over the very much imperfect asphalt. And that's before you even take the corners into account. These corners are so friggin' uneven that it would even throw the most well balanced cars off balance. And it's very likely that you'll be getting up on two wheels over most of them. Additionally, like old real life roads, the outer edges are actually depressed a little bit with a bump in the middle from all the use they've gotten. So you best believe you have to pick a line and stick to it. If you deviate from the grooves gifted to you by the mad lads that have sent it up this road before, you're going to be rolling down the hill before you can say, oh shit. Ejecting yourself from these few turns is almost as difficult as taking them. You'd think because it's an uphill, you can just slam on the throttle and everything will be rosy. But you guessed it, you can't do that at all. If you dollop even a slight amount too much of sauce on the exit, the rear end is going around. After ambling up the hill, you're greeted by this crest. After it, the first hairpin. You actually need to start braking on the crest in a lot of cars, but at that point you're tossed into the air, so you best be used to the car you're driving because it's extremely easy to lock up and go headfirst into that guardrail. Now if you're a subscriber of mine, you'll know my philosophy on hairpins is to kick the rear end out, step on the throttle and slide around them. When in doubt, go flat out, some might say. Well, this isn't just any old hairpin, it's actually almost a tightening double apex. And the radius itself is quite large. Pair this with the uneven road and drifting isn't such a great idea. We can't take the racing line or ideal line either, as if we swing it out wide and try a late apex, those grooves in the road I mentioned earlier will surely throw the car around. So what I like to do is dip my inner tyres into the grass and hug the innards all the way round. Once again, if you get too confident on the throttle, the rear end is going to spin. And trust me, you don't want to be sideways leading onto this next section. However, before we carry on with the ever increasing excitement of the Detarame Toge, I need to tell you something.
I've been lying to you. I've been lying to you all. This isn't a Toge. This isn't even a road in Japan. This is a rally stage in Slovenia. Didn't you notice all the details? Buildings on Japanese, there's fucking spectators, white and red tape, and even massive hay bales. I even dropped a few hints this isn't even a Japanese road myself. You really thought Detarame was the name? Let's Google Translate that right now. Nonsense. Yes, nonsense. His real name is Drazgose. But you thought that was it? I even dropped a quote from the greatest rally driver of all time.
When in doubt, go flat out, some might say.
I knew you wouldn't click on this video if you knew it was a rally stage, but I fooled you. I fooled you all. And now you have bared witness to the great road that wasn't featured in Initial D and isn't even in Japan. Don't feel too bad though, it's still a mountain road after all.
Right, sorry about that. My alter ego, that sim racing bastard, was showing a bit there. Anyway, after ejecting from the hairpin, you're onto a pretty fast section. But it's easy to once again gain too much confidence here. There are some seemingly fast corners, but they throw the car around like I've never seen before, so you're going to have to be ready with your feather foot and sleight of hand to keep the car under control. Seriously, I've never seen a mountain road throw a car around so much. Even something like Takigahara, which is the most rollercoaster like Toge I know of, pales in comparison. And the fact that you only have half a car width to either side of you, even in this tiny little MR2 I'm driving, just makes it all the more dangerous and thus exciting. This theme carries on for a while longer. Incredibly fast section with astonishingly dangerous roads into a hairpin. Astonishingly fast section with incredibly dangerous roads into a hairpin. If you were to take a look at this section of road, forgetting everything I've already told you, you'd probably think this is pretty boring. However, I've crashed here way more times than I would like to admit. Once you get past it, you start to once again reach civilization and will soon be passing through just one of the awesome towns. But first is another hairpin. But this one is pretty special. It's actually banked, so you can take some pretty serious speed through it. But if you like a bit of spice in your life, the inside of the corner is actually negatively banked. So if you put your front right tyre onto it, the rest of the car will enter a slide, and you can simply step on the throttle and slide around it without much input. This is truly a beautiful corner. After scaling yet another bumpy section, you'll start to notice some lovely Slovenian houses. This is the warning sign that things are about to get interesting. More interesting than they already have been, that is. This road is only just heating up. The further along it you go, the better it gets. Trust me. You'll notice a tarmac change just before the sign that says, "Please subscribe, I need subscribers." As you fly by the houses, the road opens up into this lovely smooth road. Almost an alien world compared to what you've just been driving. But it's short-lived. See that crest over there? Just behind it is a sharp downhill corner that you won't know is there until you're already in it. Tarmac change in 3, 2, 1, and you're back on the good stuff. After weaving through the outskirts of this town, there's a straight that you can seemingly put your horses to good use on, but as we can see, that's probably not such a great idea. The road will once again throw you around like you're absolutely nothing, and once you see this house, you need to prepare to slam on the anchors for this absolutely terrifying corner. And this is where the fun begins, the downhill. The added speed caused by gravity only makes things worse, or better depending on how you look at things. You quickly need to adjust your braking, cornering and counter steering from uphill to downhill mode. If you fail to do this, you're probably going to either end up rolling down the mountain or wrapping your lovely car around a tree. Taking these bumpy roads is an entirely different beast on this section, as you don't have the user-friendly uphill to cradle your car as it's thrown around. Now let me tell you about this signpost.
This little friggin' idiot.
Literally every single time I drive this road, he just has to get involved. Firstly, look at the state of this corner. The road isn't even level, and you're going to be travelling on it at some serious speed. Not only that, but it also goes uphill and then down. So, travelling over it, you're probably going to go wide unless you seriously slow down for it. Which I never do because, you know, when in doubt, go flat out and all that. And as you pass over this hump and inevitably drift out wide, there that stupid little idiot is, just sitting there, waiting for you to clip it and spin. However, if you're lucky, you will stay on the road and be saved by his pole brethren. Luckily, the tarmac becomes nice and smooth for the best part of this road. It starts off with 3 consecutive downhill hairpins. Now there's no opportunity to do the Drazgose jump or hook a wheel into the gutter. They're just nice simple hairpins. However, there is some gravel scattered on them for whatever reason, probably a cheeky spectator. So remember not to throw the car in too hard and proceed with caution. After the hairpins is my absolute favourite section. It gets pretty technical here. As you come powering down this hill on a straightaway, the road will seemingly disappear in between these houses. If it's your first time driving it, it can be confusing to work out where the road actually goes as you chase it down at 100 miles per hour. But as you edge closer, you're going to be in for a real shot. Firstly, a small left-hand curve with a massive great big dip. And if you manage to slow yourself down in time, you have to thread the needle between these 2 houses. Exhilarating stuff. This is probably one of my favourite sections of road in Assetto Corsa ever, but it doesn't end there. After you mop the sweat off your brow down this straight, you see almost the exact same corner again, but this time there's no dip, so it's a little bit safer. But it can still very much catch you off guard, as it is obscured by not only trees but also the road itself. This trend of obscured corners carries on. The downhill gets steeper as you descend into the forest, and there's no guardrail or stupid little posts to protect you this time. If you make a mistake at this late stage of the stage, it's all over, for real this time. And as you enter the thick forest for the first time, you're greeted by a double dip in the road, which leads into a downhill hairpin. Now I'd usually say that a section like this is brilliant, like I just have in fact, but this one just pisses me off as it's so far away from the start and very easy to mess up. As you stampede into the next village, you can almost taste the satisfaction of completing a damned hard rally stage. But don't lose focus now. Focus, goddammit. Luckily I screwed up here, or I would have had to attack this blind right-hander at full speed. Accident avoided. 3, 2, 1, tarmac change. Open hairpin left, don't cut, open hairpin right. Sorry, I was getting into it a bit too much there, but just look at those corners. weaving in between the houses. Autumn. Just make sure you don't go ploughing into someone's bedroom.
And don't kill the chicken and the cat, please. Or the dog for that matter. And for God's sakes, do not hit those spectators.
And as you come skirting around the final corner, you feel like an absolute rally god, and so you should, because that is an amazing yet difficult drive. Honestly, the sense of satisfaction of getting a quick time here is immense. But do you know what's even more immense? A driving technique in which you don't actually drive around the hairpin, you friggin' jump over him. You need to click on this video to find out how.